You want to understand why someone's blood sugar is spiraling out of control. You have to stop looking at the symptoms and start looking at the source. Most people focus on the glucometer. Imagine a factory that is supposed to run with 1,000 workers. Now imagine that factory trying to meet the same production quotas with only 500 people. The remaining workers have to work twice as hard, they get exhausted, they burn out, and eventually they quit too. This is the beta cell burnout that drives the progression of diabetes. Conventional medicine tells you that once those workers are gone, they are gone forever. They tell you this is a progressive, irreversible decline. They give you medications to manage the high sugar, essentially trying to clean up the mess on the factory floor. But they never address the fact that the factory is understaffed. But what if the factory wasn't empty? What if there were trainees, progenitor cells, waiting in the wings, ready to be called up to the front lines? What if you could actually rebuild the machinery of your metabolism? They wake up, prick their finger, and see a number like 140, 180, or 250. They feel a sense of dread. They think, my sugar is high because of what I ate last night. But that's only half the story. The real tragedy of type 2 diabetes isn't just the sugar in your blood, it's the silence in your pancreas. By the time the average person receives a clinical diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, they have already lost between 40 and 50% of their functional beta cell mass. Imagine a factory that is supposed to run with 1,000 workers. Now imagine that factory trying to meet the same production quotas with only 500 people. The remaining workers have to work twice as hard, they get exhausted, they burn out, and eventually they quit too. This is the beta cell burnout that drives the progression of diabetes. Conventional medicine tells you that once those workers are gone, they are gone forever. They tell you this is a progressive, irreversible decline. They give you medications to manage the high sugar, essentially trying to clean up the mess on the factory floor. But they never address the fact that the factory is understaffed. But what if the factory wasn't empty? What if there were trainees, progenitor cells, waiting in the wings, ready to be called up to the front lines? What if you could actually rebuild the machinery of your metabolism? The research coming out of institutions like the National Institutes of Health and the University of Oslo suggests that we have been looking at the pancreas all wrong. It is not a fixed, broken organ. It is a dynamic, regenerative system. And today, we are going to talk about the specific biological triggers found in the most humble of seeds that can restart the assembly line. Let's start with the most powerful tool in our arsenal, Fenugreek. You can buy a bag of these seeds for under $5 at almost any grocery store. Yet their biological complexity rivals some of the most expensive pharmaceuticals on the market. Fenugreek works through two distinct pathways. The first is a rare soluble fiber called galactomannan. When you consume this, it forms a thick, viscous gel in your digestive tract. This gel acts like a physical barrier. It doesn't block sugar, it slows it down. Instead of a massive spike of glucose hitting your bloodstream all at once, you get a slow, steady trickle. This immediately takes the pressure off your remaining beta cells. You're giving your workers a manageable pace instead of a frantic rush. But the second pathway is where the real magic happens. Fenugreek contains a naturally occurring alkaloid called trigonelline. In peer-reviewed research, trigonelline has been shown to influence the expression of PDX1. Think of PDX1 as the master general of your pancreas. It is a transcription factor, a genetic switch that tells your body to create new beta cells. For years in the diabetic body, that switch has been flipped to off. The inflammatory environment of high blood sugar keeps it suppressed, but trigonelline helps flip that switch back to on. This process is called beta cell neogenesis. It is the birth of new insulin-producing cells. When you soak these seeds overnight, you break down the hard outer shell and make that trigonelline bioavailable. You aren't just eating a spice, you are delivering a genetic instruction to your pancreas to start rebuilding. If Fenugreek is the builder, then Flaxseed, Nigella sativa, and Flaxseed are the shield and the sword. Let's talk about the sword. Flaxseed. It contains a potent compound called thymoquinone. This compound targets an enzyme called AMPK. You might have heard AMPK called the master metabolic switch. When AMPK is activated, it tells your muscle cells to open up their doors to glucose without needing a signal from insulin. In a healthy body, insulin is the key that unlocks the cell. In a diabetic body, the lock is rusted. That's insulin resistance. AMPK activation creates a side door. By allowing glucose to enter the cells through this alternative pathway, you lower the total amount of insulin your pancreas needs to produce. You are reducing the demand so the supply can catch up. Now for the shield, ground flaxseed. Beta cells have an Achilles heel. They are incredibly sensitive to oxidative stress. Because they are so busy producing insulin, they generate a lot of internal heat and waste. Unlike other cells, they don't have a lot of their own antioxidant enzymes to protect themselves. Flax-seeds are the richest plant source of lignans and alpha-linolenic acid, ALA. These compounds suppress a specific inflammatory pathway called NF-kappa B. This is the pathway responsible for beta cell death, apoptosis. By consuming ground flaxseed daily, you are essentially putting a cooling system into your factory. You are stopping the fires of inflammation that are killing off your workers faster than you can replace them. To round out this biological protocol, we look to chia seeds and Ceylon cinnamon. Chia seeds are unique because of their incredible hydration capacity. When soaked, they form a mucilaginous gel. In a study from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, participants who consumed chia seeds daily saw a 21% reduction in post-meal blood sugar spikes. But more importantly, it reduced LDL oxidation. Why does that matter for a diabetic? Because heart disease and diabetes are two sides of the same coin. By protecting your vessels, you are ensuring that the new insulin your pancreas produces can actually travel through the body effectively. Then there is Ceylon cinnamon. Note the name, Ceylon. Most of the cinnamon in grocery stores is cassia cinnamon, which contains high levels of coumarin, a substance that can be toxic to the liver in high doses. Ceylon cinnamon, however, is safe for daily use and contains cinnamaldehyde. This compound has been shown to improve the sensitivity of the insulin receptors themselves. It's like oiling the rusted locks on your cells so the keys work again. I know this sounds like folk medicine, but the clinical data is undeniable. We aren't just talking about anecdotes, we are talking about randomized controlled trials. The Oslo study. Researchers took 69 adults with newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes. Half took 10 grams of fenugreek powder daily. In just 12 weeks, the fenugreek group saw a 28% reduction in fasting blood glucose and a significant drop in A1C. Their markers for beta cell function actually improved, while the control group stayed the same or got worse. The Penn State trial, they used 25 grams of ground flaxseed. They found a nearly 20% reduction in fasting insulin levels. This proves that the body was becoming more efficient. It didn't need as much insulin to get the job done because the inflammation was subsiding. The NIH meta-analysis, a review of 23 different trials on Flaxseed, Nigella sativa, showed that it reduced fasting blood sugar by an average of 18.9 milligrams per deciliter. That is a result comparable to some first-line pharmaceutical drugs, but with zero negative side effects. This data tells us that the body wants to heal. It is simply waiting for the right raw materials. How do you put this into practice? You cannot just take a pill and expect a miracle. This is a symphony, and every instrument must play its part. Here is your daily morning protocol. 1. The soak. Every night, put 1 heaping teaspoon, 10 grams, of whole fenugreek seeds in a glass of water. Let them sit for at least 8 hours. In the morning, drink the water and eat the seeds. They will be bitter. That bitterness is the trigonelline. Do not roast them. Heat destroys the active compounds. 2. The grind. Take 2.5 tablespoons of flax seeds. You must grind them. If you eat them whole, they will pass right through you and you will get zero benefit. Use a cheap coffee grinder and do it fresh each morning. 3. The oil. Take half a teaspoon of cold-pressed black seed oil. You can stir it into water or take it straight. 4. The gel. Soak 1 tablespoon of chia seeds in water for 15 minutes until they form a thick gel. Add a squeeze of lemon. The vitamin C in the lemon actually helps your body absorb the healthy fats in the seeds. 5. Drink 2 cups of green tea brewed at 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't use boiling water as it kills the antioxidants. And no dairy milk. Milk proteins bind to the antioxidants and make them useless. Most people fail this protocol not because it doesn't work, but because they treat it like a quick fix. The first mistake is quitting too early. Beta cell regeneration is a slow biological process. It is more like growing a garden than flipping a light switch. Most people see no change in the first week. They might see a small change in week 4, but the magic happens between week 8 and week 12. If you quit at day 20, you've missed the harvest. The second mistake is using supplements instead of whole foods. A fenugreek extract pill is not the same as a soaked seed. The seed contains a complex matrix of fibers, fats, and minerals that work together. When you isolate one compound, you lose the synergy. Nature doesn't work in isolation. The third mistake is ignoring the inflammatory background. You cannot take these seeds in the morning and then eat ultra-processed carbs and seed oils for dinner. The seeds are trying to put out the fire, but your diet is pouring gasoline on it. This protocol is an accelerant for a healthy lifestyle, not a replacement for it. There is one more factor we have to address: visceral fat. This is the fat that lives deep in your abdomen, wrapping around your organs. Unlike the fat under your skin, visceral fat is metabolically active. It breathes out inflammatory chemicals called cytokines. These cytokines go straight to the pancreas and choke the beta cells. You can take all the seeds in the world, but if you have high levels of visceral fat, you are constantly poisoning your own insulin factory. The good news? The seeds help here too. The fiber in chia and fenugreek helps regulate appetite and reduce total caloric intake. As you lose even just 5 to 7% of your body weight, specifically from the waistline, your insulin sensitivity will skyrocket. Your waist circumference is a much more important number than the number on your scale. Type 2 diabetes is often presented as a life sentence. We are taught to manage our decline, to wait for the next medication, to prepare for the complications like neuropathy or kidney issues. But the science is shouting a different message. Your body is incredibly resilient. Your pancreas has a reserve team of cells just waiting for the signal to start working. The people who reverse this condition are not lucky. They are not genetic outliers. They are people who decided to take control of their own biology. They are the people who show up every morning, grind their flax, soak their fenugreek, and stay consistent. You have more influence over your metabolic trajectory than you have ever been led to believe. You don't need a miracle drug. You need the right raw materials and the patience to let your body do what it was designed to do: heal. As we wrap up, I want you to remember 3 things. 1. Regeneration is real. Your beta cells can be rebuilt. 2. Consistency is key. This is a 90-day commitment, not a weekend trial. 3. Whole foods matter. The power is in the seed, in its natural, unprocessed form. Take this information and use it. Share it with someone who is struggling, because there are millions of people who have never been told that their condition might be reversible. They deserve to know that there is hope. I'll see you in the next deep dive into the science of human health. Stay consistent, stay informed, and take care of your factory.